Hi guys, ya sabes que Carlos to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today we're making dinner in an hour and it's going to be loaded with Greek flavors. It's going to be healthy and so delicious. We're making spanakorizo with salmon and asparagus. So spanakorizo is one of my all-time favorite Greek classics. It's basically a spinach and rice pilaf. It's juicy, delicious, has loads of garlic in it and spinach, and it's just so good and very easy to make. And I'm serving with a roasted salmon, but you can definitely do shrimp, you can do chicken, or you can keep the whole thing vegetarian and just make some nice roasted vegetables on the side. That will be good too. Let's get started with the spanakorizo first, because that kind of takes longer than the salmon. But before you do, you want to make sure that the oven is preheated to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. In the meantime, I'm going to finely chop an onion. So go ahead and add the onion to the pot. Now traditionally a red onion is used for this, but use whatever you have. That's my rule. And since I didn't have a red onion, I'm using a regular onion, a white onion. You can use shallots instead if you have those, or even leeks. Leeks would be good in this as well. Now I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of olive oil. And I'm going to season the onions with just a little pinch of salt. We like to season every layer so that there's lots of flavor. So I have 6 garlic cloves. Now, I love the taste of the soft garlic. I don't cut it into small pieces. They're more like into little half moons. I roughly dice them basically, because when they cook with the onions and the olive oil, they get really nice and sweet, and they just taste so good with the spinach and the rice. But if you have kids or people in your family that are not fans of garlic, then you can go ahead and just very finely chop it, so that way they won't even know it's there. You'll just get the flavor, but you won't get the bite of garlic. But it is going to be soft and it should melt in your mouth. So basically I just cut each clove in half and then I just roughly chop it. So this is what we're looking for, about this size pieces. Okay, so this is going to pretty much take the same amount of time to soften as the onions take. So I'm just going to put it in right now. All of this garlic. Again, if you're not a huge fan of garlic, you don't have to put that much in. You could add less and finally chop it. That's an option. And it should take about 8 minutes or so for everything to get nice and soft. While that's happening, you want to get a cup of rice. Traditionally, short grain rice is used in spanakorizo, but I like to cook with basmati rice in my house. Everybody likes it. It's really light and it's aromatic, so that's what I'm using. I have a cup of basmati rice in here. What I did was I ran it under cold water and changed out the water about 4 or 5 times until the water ran clear. Let this soak for about 10-15 minutes or until everything is done. And now we're going to just chop up the spinach. So for the spinach, I like to use baby spinach, and we're going to need 2 pounds of spinach for 1 cup of rice. It sounds like a lot, but it's supposed to be a very juicy dish. So I like to buy the spinach that's already pre-washed and everything like that. Then all I have to do is roughly chop it. So I had 1.5 pounds of regular baby spinach, and then instead of going out and buying some more, we have some Japanese spinach growing in our backyard. So I am going to incorporate this into the spanakorizo. Again, not traditional, but since we grow it, I'm going to add it in, and it's going to add a little bit of color too, because as you see, some of the leaves, a lot of the leaves actually, the back is purple, which is really pretty. These smell really nice too. So the onions and the garlic are both nice and soft. Now it's time to add the spinach, and I like to add it in a few batches, and it seems like it's a whole lot and like it might not fit in the pot, but you just wait and see. It's going to wilt down and it's going to be almost half of this, or even less actually. So each time I add a batch of spinach, I like to season. So we're going to season with a little bit of salt. And you can cook it over medium-high heat, and as soon as the first batch wilts down, go ahead and keep adding more spinach until all the spinach is in there. Okay, so once all the spinach wilts down, go in and add a heaping teaspoon of dry dill. If you have fresh dill, then finely chop about 1/4 cup and add it in, or as much as you like. Now this is ready. We're going to add some black pepper to it, ground black pepper. My black pepper mill broke, so I just started using this already ground black pepper. I have to get another one because there is nothing like freshly cracked black pepper. So once I get it, I'll go back to freshly cracking my own black pepper, but for now this will do. Now I'm going to add the cup of rice. I drained the water out. It seems like it's not that much rice, but in Spanakorizo there should be more spinach than rice. So that's the rule. And we're gonna add a teaspoon of salt for the rice. And even though there's plenty of liquid in here from the spinach has released lots of liquid, I'm still gonna add 1.5 cups more of water. Give everything a nice mix. So this mixture is gonna come to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, I'm gonna cover it, reduce the heat to a low, and let it simmer for 15 minutes or until the rice is fully cooked. So in that time, we're gonna prepare the fish and the asparagus. Now, I love asparagus. We buy it all the time because everyone in the house likes it. It cooks just in like 15 minutes. That's how much time it takes for the fish to cook. So we're gonna cook it together, but in a separate pan because I have a big piece of salmon over here. So you wanna make sure you always season both sides. And this piece right here has the skin on. I'm just gonna leave it on. If you don't like the skin, you can take it off, but we're gonna leave it on here. And I'm gonna season the back first with some salt, black pepper. I'm gonna throw in some crushed red pepper flakes for good measure. This is some ground cumin. This is the easiest roasted salmon that you'll ever make, and it has lots of flavor. And this is some, what is it called? Garlic powder. I'm gonna flip it over, and I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Final ingredient that's gonna go on top are just a few pats of butter. I'm using salted butter, but you can use unsalted butter if that's what you have. Not that much because we are gonna make a ladolemono sauce, which is a lemony olive oil sauce that we're gonna put on top once we serve it. Just a few pieces. Now, if you're not making that much asparagus, you can definitely arrange the asparagus around the fish and it can cook together in one pan. I would overcrowd it, so that's why I'm not doing that right now. I'm gonna set this aside right here because it won't fit. We have a big bunch of asparagus over here, so now you've seen me make asparagus over and over again. I use the same recipe. I don't change it because it's so easy and quick. So you just snap off the fibrous ends of the asparagus because those are really tough and hard. The rice came to a boil, reduced it to low now. Put the lid on in 15 minutes. That's gonna be done. So it doesn't get simpler than this. A little bit of olive oil, salt, and some black pepper. That's it. We're just gonna toss the asparagus all together to make sure everything is coated evenly. My oven is preheated to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Both the salmon and the asparagus are gonna go in for about 15 or 20 minutes or until the salmon is fully cooked. And then in that time, the rice is gonna be ready. We're gonna have a meal ready in no time. I'll show you what it looks like as soon as it comes out. So while the fish and the rice are finishing up and cooking, we're gonna make the ladolemono sauce, which is basically a dressing simply made with lemon juice, olive oil, a little bit of garlic, which is optional. You can put it in if you want to, or if you don't want to, you can leave it out. And then it's also seasoned with lots of oregano and some salt. So I have a lemon here. We're gonna use the juice of this whole lemon. You need about 1/4 cup. I'm making a bigger batch of it because it tastes delicious over the asparagus, over the fish. You could use it as a salad dressing. You can use it as a marinade. It's so versatile and it stays fresh in the fridge for a few days. So if you make an extra batch, you can just use it for many different things. Put this over chicken for a few hours and marinate it and then grill it or cook it and you're gonna have delicious chicken ready. So I'm just gonna take these 2 seeds out. I didn't feel like taking out my citrus juicer. Now I'm gonna put about 1/2 cup of really good quality, extra virgin, cold pressed Greek olive oil. If you can get it from Kriti or Crete, that's the best kind. Now I have a garlic clove that I'm just gonna grate so that way it just melts into the sauce. I'm gonna season it with a little bit of salt and lots of dried oregano. You just mix it all up and that's it. It's ready. You can put this in a little mason jar and keep it in the fridge. Shake it up and just pour it over everything. It is delicious stuff. And now we just wait until everything is ready. So that was way under an hour. The whole meal is ready. Just take a look at how beautiful this plate looks. I have a little bit of Spanakorizo on it. I topped it with a little piece of feta and some olives on the side. And then we have the asparagus that's perfectly roasted and it's still slightly crisp. The fish is nice and flaky. I like to serve it with some lemon wedges on the side, and then I just drizzle some of that delicious lemony olive oil dressing on top of the fish and of the asparagus. It is time to take a bite. I'm gonna take a little piece of fish and some of the spinach rice. Ooh, it smells so good. Oh my God. Perfection. The fish is flaky and soft and perfectly cooked. It's really juicy too. The spinach rice, I just can't tell you how delicious it is and how comforting. It just reminds me of my childhood. Once we're done, I'm gonna pick out most of those garlic cloves and I'm gonna put them on this plate and have lunch. I think you guys are gonna love this. Make this for your family. If you don't like salmon, feel free to substitute it with something else. Like I said, shrimp, chicken, anything will go good on the side of this, but the Spanakorizo is the star of the show. The recipe, as always, is on the website, dimitrasdishes.com. You can print it out. If you want all the ingredients and the measurements, they're also underneath the video in the description box down below. If you want to learn how to make more meals in under an hour, comment and let me know and I'll bring more to you. Thank you guys so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yes, us.